What's going on, folks? I'll just ask that you take a moment, pause and read these screens, and with that, we will begin. Steve Shaw, not a lifetime natty. Should we even care? Is there a bigger picture to all this, folks?
Update the weight based on your rep target. So you can set a defined rep target or a defined progression trigger. And when you hit that trigger, it'll move.
Now, did you catch that reaction there, folks? I wanted to begin this clip a little bit behind the ball here because I want you to see he was rolling on at a good speed. He was answering one question, looking to answer the next before he even finished this thought. What could be on the screen right now that's got him sputtering, that's got his mind just spiraling out right?
It'll move that.
Bro, he genuinely looks like he's about to cry right now.
It'll move that. It'll move that weight up. So you can go in on your. You can go in and. If you don't want to move up in weight because you're not really feeling it, that day, you can just revert back to the previous weight. It's as simple as that. So I'm going to tell you, there's somebody before we go on to the next question. There's some knucklehead that just dropped on this morning that's obsessed with TRT. Occasionally, you get these TRT trolls, right? And they keep posting things about, are you on 150 milligrams of TRT? I'm not on 150 milligrams of anything.
I don't know why you're getting so pissy there, bud. Seems like a valid question to me. This is like telling a guy you might be getting a hamburger for lunch and you see him tomorrow and he says, hey man, how was that burger?
They had mentioned the Discord group. On the Discord group, I had talked about.
I love this part, by the way. Look at this big clown fidgeting in his chair, trying to regain a sense of control. But have a listen to his words here. He's going to downplay it a little bit to be 50 milligrams now.
I talked to my family physician, and I talked openly on the Discord group where I had been considering going on 50 milligrams of TRT. But this individual keeps, posting, this is what you get in this industry. You get people that become very obsessed, thinking you're some steroid abuser.
Now listen here as he sets the stage for the reframing. First of all, it was an individual that just showed up with a question, and now he's got a little bit of inside baseball to share with you all about this industry and these darn trolls.
I talked about the possibility of exploring TRT, and if I do so, I will make a video and be very transparent. But I'm not taking 150 milligrams of testosterone a week. I don't know where you got that number from. I had talked openly on the Discord group. If you are still on the Discord group, man up and show yourself, instead of being a coward and hiding behind troll accounts, be a man, don't be a mouse. If I've been doing this for a long time, and, talking about TRT, yeah, this is what I'm on a daily basis right here. And I added this into my stack, the electrolytes.
Yeah, if you're currently natural, you should probably get off the caffeine and make a hell of a lot of other lifestyle choices. I mean, you can't even speak a sentence without going.
Yeah, I've been talking about TRT a little. I'm 58 years old. They want to know, is that natty or not? I'm not doing 150 milligrams of TRT. So, if you want to kind of corner me or call me out just because we talk about things, no need to get you, as my mom would say, no need to get your undies in a bundle. So yeah, we've had a troll today and it gets rather tedious, but obviously they got nothing to do in between their prolonged masturbatory extravaganzas. So whatever.
Now, I'm no psychologist, but did that feel weird to anybody else? He jumped from this mom scolding persona into talking about chronic masturbation. And I mean, we know his before and after. I know that he likes to claim that he's got 40 years of hard training. We know the timeline, but you live the majority of your life as a loser, as the guy being scolded by mommy, and then you took a couple of pro hormones. Good for you, buddy. Now I'll just give you guys more of an insight into the TRT on the Discord here. It appears to me that Shaw is the one who's obsessed with the topic, man. It's been mentioned countless times there. Again, he's talked about taking pro hormones, all of these things. So You're not natty, man. I mean, it's as clear as day that you're not natural once you cross that line. And again, I don't understand why these guys turn on their audience. Somebody has an opinion about the things they say and do, and they get their panties all in a twist. And let me tell you, there is no, I accidentally took a pro-hormone, I accidentally took this and that. You knew the desired effect would be something steroid-like. That was why you purchased it, buddy.
If you want to man up, in the Discord group and come out of the woodwork, and say who you really are.
Anyway, here's the daughter on screen, so you get a picture of the Natty family over here. I did blank her face out because it felt a little weird. It was weird that he put her out there and tried to use her as a way of shaming young men, but, But yeah, we got a guy who can't even handle his own words coming back to him. It's not even criticism. It's like, hey, this was a thing you mentioned. Like, what are you doing with that now? The 150 milligram of TRT, which you spoke on. And again, he projects outward. They got to be the trolls, the basement dwellers. Basically, the insecure man that he was before the PEDs. Before he started popping the orals and, possibly the needle. Whatever's going on nowadays, man. And you can't convince me otherwise at this point after seeing these messages and seeing his reaction. Because if the TRT was irrelevant and it didn't matter, he'd just say so. He would move on. He wouldn't go into a 5-minute meltdown about masturbators. But it's like they say, when someone is secure in themselves, they'll just answer the question. If someone is lying, they'll attack your character. And if somebody is really lying, they've got their head up their ass, then they'll often accuse you of being the worst version of themselves. That sad little insecure loser that he's trying to erase all of his life. And the whole show yourself, the Discord Inquisition there is just ridiculous, man. Shaw, you're old enough to realize, buddy, there was a time when the internet wasn't just linked in with memes, and arguments can stand on their own merit. It's not going to make or break it depending on who's saying the words. And anonymity removes the hierarchy. You can't default to, I have more followers, or I'm bigger, I'm older, I've been lifting longer, 40 years in the iron game, right, buddy? Because the one thing these kind of people can't stand is when all the status games evaporate, and they're naked. Metaphorically, of course. Not like the front shirtless photos that he'll never post. Now, this is something I used to talk about a lot more on my old channel, that I truly appreciate the anonymous people, the people that want to engage at any level they feel comfortable. If they want to put their face out there, if they want to just put their physique out there. There's an old saying that I used to harp on quite a bit, which is that they say, there are no women on the internet. And this was a two-pronged saying, actually, because on the one level, it's kind of a warning, right? You got to be careful out there. There's catfishing, there's attention farming, there's weird guys pretending to be girls for validation or whatever they get out of it. So you got to have your antenna up. But this was more true of the old internet, the more niche and hobby side of things before the social media flood came in. But the real meaning anyway, it more so means this, that your gender doesn't matter, your status doesn't matter, your identity doesn't matter. Because none of that changes whether or not your argument is true. And it's funny nowadays how quickly people will jump to paranoia. I wouldn't doubt if Shaw now believes that Faz is over there in his Discord as a troll. If you can't handle criticism, let alone your own words being fed back to you, I don't think you should have a public platform. It's just not for you, buddy. And this brings me to another circle jerk topic here. I know I've heard this one from GVS and others where they say things like, yesterday, some guy told me that I look small and I don't even look like I lift. And then today somebody says, clearly that guy's on steroids. And they believe like they've uncovered some grand contradiction. Well, let me tell you the simple answer here. Maybe it's not one person. Maybe the audience isn't some amorphous blob. So you can have one group of people here who think that you're not impressive, you don't look like you lift, your physique is nothing special, which, by the way, they could also be saying that and lying to you, trying to get you to crack, which by giving them that attention, you're showing that it's on your mind to some degree. And on the other end, we've got the people that might say, oh, but his proportions, they look so strange. I just can't make sense of it. No, he can't be natural. If you look at the timeline, if you look at the progress, something seems artificial there. Yeah, both groups can exist simultaneously, man. That is how crowds work. The internet is not a single voice. It's not a council. It's not a hive mind. It's a bunch of people trying to yell past each other for upvotes. And beyond the general wall of noise and the nut huggers and the whatnots, you're going to get your critics. You're going to have your jokers. You're going to have your skeptics. And you're going to have your outright trolls, man. And what's funny here on the very same topic, if we look at the flip side of the coin, say some account shows up, they don't have to have a physique in the profile picture. They don't have to have a personalized name. Maybe they're going with a meme of the day or something random they just thought of on the whim. When they go to these guys' comment sections and they give them praise, oh, yeah, that's genuine. That's real. Oh, he's a good guy. Yeah, he sees that about me. Doesn't that flatter me? So anonymity is valid when it feeds the ego, but it's evil when it questions it. I think that tells you everything you need to know. Because the issue isn't anonymity, it's narrative control.
My arms are barely 17 inches when I'm at 18% body fat. So, over the years, you get these people that just think you're on ridiculous amounts of drugs or craziness.
Now, of course, it's insulting to even have to point this out, but arm size was never brought up. But for whatever reason, this is a red herring that he always likes to go to, man. We're talking about the 150 milligrams of TRT. But yeah, I don't understand why it's being downplayed here, because he's made videos on how to get big arms. He's showcasing himself as somebody that has big arms, and I would say 17 inches is respectable. For a lifetime natural, maybe if you're in like the 10 to 15% body fat zone, we're not going to go too low with it to where, we're just being unfair. But as you get a little bit fatter, man, and let's be honest, you're a little bit fatter, you're probably a little bit more than 18%, it gets less and less impressive. And hey, maybe you just are an unimpressive guy. Taking gear doesn't mean that your biceps are going to blow up. Your triceps are big. I mean, you do power building, right? That's the thing you're into. So maybe you got to do more bicep work, man. Maybe you just don't have the genetics for it. That's like when you hear these novice lifters and they say like, oh yeah, I could be like Ronnie Coleman, but yeah, I just want to stay natural, bro. The fact of the matter is that the genetic lottery can be a bitch. Maybe you wanted bigger arms, but that doesn't guarantee you got them, man. Like, were the pro-hormone tablets and steroids, TRT, whatever, were they just supposed to cancel out your wrist circumference or something?
Want to continue to push and push and push me to kind of explore my secret massive drug protocol. This is it right here, you knucklehead. All right, enough about that nonsense, but I want to mention that because they have done so with multiple accounts, and we might as well address it.
No, of course, this is one man on multiple accounts, right? Not the case, and the only reason it was addressed here was it was actually brought up before the stream, just in the chat there, and there weren't as many people around, so he knew he could do damage control. He deleted the guy's comment, and it just went poof. Then somebody else comes up on the stream, a different person. Different people can exist out there, different people from your own Discord hearing your own words, and they tried to ask him about it, and he knew, okay, I can't just make this go away this time. I got to address it. I got to go with the transparency arc, or rather a fake version of transparency, because there's no nuance in the internet, right? The internet, one thing, one hive mind, you can't tell the truth out there anymore. So it's better to be tactical. It's better to just lie and cover things up, right?
You wish that was the reason why I was successful. It doesn't have anything to do with 40 years of hard training, right? Keep dreaming.
Now, this is a hilarious claim to examine. 40 years of hard training. This is the literal version of the E-Daddy here, the appeal to age, and the conflation with age in the Iron game. Now, in his own words, he is skinny fat here. I think that's being generous. I think he was obese, he was under-muscled, he had no maturity, he had no density. And that first photo is of him at 40 years old. He is 58 now for reference. But it gets crazier because this transformation was done in 3.5 years, allegedly. The photo that he spams everywhere on social media of him looking his best, him at his peak, that was allegedly done in 3.5 years' time. So this guy was an absolute slob until 2013, and he peaked at 2017, maybe 2018 at the latest. The same guy who pulls the whole suck it up buttercup routine could not even walk to his own mailbox. And it's all well and good that he's in better health now, but when you listen to a guy talk and he's between every line, is he in good health? You gotta ask, when did these pro-hormones come into the picture, and how honest is he being about this? Because I gotta be honest with you, Somebody who tries to get so specific on the number of 150 milligrams of testosterone there, really wants to hammer that home and then say, oh, you guys think I'm on tons of drugs. It's like, why can you not just address the actual question directly? If you're on a different level of testosterone right now, why can't you mention that directly? And why are you admitting that it's tactically convenient for you to avoid the truth, to avoid your history with pro-hormones and testosterone in the past? Oh, it's likely that he wasn't on the pro-hormones when he was skinny fat, as he generously calls it. Was he on them in the powerlifting phase? Was he on them in the bodybuilding phase? They're all valid questions. And again, that's that classic picture that he likes to keep recycling of him at his peak. And he's talking about this transformation from 10 years ago. He was saying this in 2025. So, yeah, I think that 40 years goes out the window, bud. So this leads us to the question of why the lie? I feel like he was that close to the transparency arc. We all remember that when all the Reuters came out and, oh, I'm the honest one about everything. You can trust me and I'll be... It's like that's how far the bar has really fallen. Just don't lie right to our faces. But hey, if you're a washed up powerlifter and now you've moved on to power building and your physique isn't so great, and on top of that you're on drugs, or at the very least you used to be on drugs, what do you do next? You're not going to shine amongst the biggest and the strongest enhanced guys, so the other option is be the big fish in the small pond of natural lifters. Yeah, that's a grand idea. Let's just try to blend in with that Noble Natty movement that we see coming in now. And don't get me wrong, I want to make a distinction here. There've always been natural lifters, and they've always taken pride in the fact they've accomplished things on their own. But the Noble Natties came along, and they had this extra level of judgment, this extra sanctimonious behavior towards PED users. Movement that now means absolutely nothing. It's fallen apart, it's become a joke. But those are most movements online, movements in general. They come and go, and most of them fail. And not always because the core idea was wrong. What usually kills them is the same thing every time. It's the wrong people rising at the wrong moment. A movement may start semi-grassroots, it may be a little bit messy, maybe a little bit decentralized, and nobody's in charge. And to be honest with you, that's actually why it works for a while. But then, the attention shows up, the sponsorships show up, and suddenly you've got these personalities at the front who were never supposed to be there. The people now at the front of the so-called Noble Natty movement, the ones that actually are natty, it's not there because they're qualified, not because they had a vision, but they were the leftovers. They're now the guys who are simply available. What begins as a general legitimate grievance about the lack of good information for natural lifters out there, the saturation of these PED users, legitimate criticisms. But then you parade around a bunch of absolute nobodies who try to turn this into a career, and this is the mess that we get. These people were just trying to ride the momentum, ride the moment. They didn't have a long-term game plan. They don't even have a coherent worldview or a set of ethics because that's been diluted over time. We see that now with the Jonathan Warren collab. We saw that in the past with Alpha Destiny, with the Dr. Mike Israetel collab. With the lockdown there, with everybody kind of getting a little antsy, turning to YouTube, wanting to get some fitness tips. When the topics were hot, when regular people, natural people wanted to tune in, oh yeah, they were the experts, right? As soon as that trend cooled down, they panicked, they floundered, they've got nothing. And I'm not speaking to all of them, I'm speaking on the level of the individuals here, but they like to be grouped together, and that's why I'm stating it as such. That's how you get these failed influencers pumping out 101 volume videos, trying to latch onto the dramas of the day, flooding the feed with absolute garbage, with the hopes that people might mistake attention for competence. But trying to squawk your loudest at the most opportune time, it doesn't make you wise, man. It just makes you temporary, a flash in the pan. The worst part is that the greed came in, the brands came in, and the wannabe careers came in the late game. That carcass has already been rotting, man. And again, don't gotta harp on this again, but the hypocrisy, the selling out, the I'd never take money, this and that, there was a time when GVS had actually said that natural hypertrophy was too pure for this earth, a line that would then be uttered elsewhere by SSD Abel, who also confidently said to the camera that he saw natural hypertrophy like a father figure. Yeah, NH, a man who's 10 years younger than the guy. He went back on everything, he took the money, and he ran. I don't even have to get into some of the let's say, interesting ideological signals that he was putting out there the entire time. This speaks again to what I talked about before about broken people. They didn't elevate him because he was flawless. They elevated him because inside they needed him to be. And on that note, it's a good time to put something else on the screen here real quick. Now, as you read this next one here, I don't want you to think poorly of this guy. He's got good intentions. He's a better man than I am. He finishes by saying that I'm a saint. He is the saint for putting up with this stuff. It's actually incredible how far people have allowed the bar to fall. Now, when you're finished reading this, the next part is the most important here, folks. It doesn't take a saint to do what's right. And if the creators won't deliver better, demand better, because this is absolute horseshit. As always, feel free to pause and read along. I'm not above anybody here. I don't want any adoration. I don't want these followers, as the sicko word goes of the day. I don't want them treating me like a moral authority. All I want is for people to see clearly about this, man. If telling the truth ruffles the feathers, that's fine. If it costs me friends, fine. If it wakes people up, good. My purpose here is to say what needs to be said, what others neglect to say, and to go on with my day. And if tomorrow there's another piece of shit worth calling out, then I'll come back. But I'm not one of these careerist YouTubers. It doesn't benefit me to keep you stuck on the hamster wheel. If there's nothing left to say, then I'll probably disappear. Or I'll upload my lifts, or I'll give a little bit of advice to people that need it. But movements rot. Influencers, they fail. Their egos implode. They turn on their audience. We've seen this time and time again throughout different spheres here. And the internet, it keeps on rolling on. So don't build up these people to be saints, man. Don't worship or follow these trends. And please don't confuse momentary relevance with what is true and what is worth your time and attention. It is fleeting. Your time on this earth is fleeting. And these shitbags clearly do not respect that simple truism. Not gonna lie, I felt like I could have ended this video 5 times here, so I appreciate you if you've stuck with me till this point. Now with Faz Lifts on the mind, have a look at this photo here. That's from under 10 years ago. He'd be about my age in this photo. And have you seen him today? In fact, never mind today, because this was 1 year later. What the hell is going on with these people, man? Now other channels have already done natty or nots on Faz. The changing of the delts and of the traps, I don't even need to go there. I'll simply ask you, does this look healthy to you? Do you see yourself wanting to look like this in the future? Is it aesthetic? Is this what you're going for? Because if I began to look like this naturally, I'd have given up lifting years ago. What the f... And of course, what comes up must come down, just like the career of the influencer.